don't want your video to be on that recording or on those images, please make sure that you turn your video off. Now I will also be muting people just so we don't have any of that background noise. So at the end, when we are having some question and answers, please feel free to pop in the chat box that you have a question or to raise your hand, and then I will turn over to you and let you know that it's time for you to ask your question, and unmute yourself and then mute yourself after would be great. So we're having some Q&A at the end, but we are also going to be making sure that everyone gets a chance to ask those questions. Now, this event is being brought to you today by Hobsons Bay Libraries and the Enviro Centre. So I'm just going to be letting some people in as I'm talking away here as well. And it's part of Hobsons Bay City Council's World Environment Day celebrations. And I'm just going to pass over to Jen. Jen, are you in there?
I am.
Excellent, Jen. I'm going to pass over. So Jen is our Environmental Engagement Officer at Hobsons Bay City Council. So I'm just going to pass over to Jen for a few moments.
Thanks, Mel. And thanks everyone for being a part of this workshop today. As Mel mentioned, it's part of our broader World Environment Day celebration. So today we've got a lot of things happening around the municipality. I just wanted to share some of those quickly with you before we get into this workshop. We've got a new conservation map that we've launched for World Environment Day that you can have access to through our website. And if you get into it, you'll see it's got lots of links to special biodiversity and natural heritage features around the municipality, along with walking tracks and ways that you can see those things. If there's any left, there'll be some native seedlings at select points also marked on that map today for you to grab one for your home garden to help to encourage biodiversity across the municipality and invite some pretty special birds and little creatures into your own gardens. We also did an heirloom seed saving workshop this morning, which a recording of which will be available on the website over the next week. So if you're interested in that, keep an eye out. And then after this workshop at 3 o'clock, if you have a look at the Facebook page, Hobsons Bay Facebook page, there'll be a chat with a local resident from Newport with our Deputy Mayor and Sandra Wilson, and also some of our staff talking about natural heritage and biodiversity, particularly in Altona, but across the municipality generally. So keep an eye out for those things, and most of all, have a great World Environment Day and get out and enjoy the biodiversity that Hobsons Bay has to offer. Back to you, Mel.
Thank you very much, Jen. So just before we get started for today's event, I do want to let those of you know who are locals to Hobsons Bay that you might have already heard our libraries are reopening on Tuesday, the 9th of June, which is this Tuesday coming. So all of our branches will be open from 2 till 6 p.m. Monday to Friday and 10 till 1 on Saturday, with a dedicated community hour between 1 and 2 p.m. For the elderly, people with a disability, their carers, and those that are considered at risk or requiring additional assistance. So that starts next Tuesday, the 9th of June. Today's event, though, is of course why we're all here. So yesterday, the 5th of June, was of course World Environment Day, with the theme for this year being Time for Nature. And it's all about celebrating our biodiversity. But coincidentally, we are also in the middle of International Nature Journaling Week, which runs from the 1st to the 7th of June. So what better way to celebrate nature and World Environment Day than to take some time to stop and to take notice and journal what we see and do in nature. So today's session will involve us watching a selection of pre-recorded videos made by Trace Balla herself. Trace is an award-winning author and illustrator of 5 books through Allen and Unwin, and her most recent book, Landing with Wings, was meant to launch earlier this year in the middle of COVID-19, and that obviously got a bit waylaid. So our first of our 3 videos today is a short promo about Landing with Wings and the work that she's put into it. And then we have 2 other videos as well. One will be for the younger members of our audience, and the second for the older kids and the big kids amongst us as well. So what I'm going to do is start sharing my screen so we can watch the very first of those 3 videos. So I'm just going to go back because I realised I forgot one very important component there of clicking that we want to share with audio, which is a very important thing when we're going to be watching a video.
Hi everyone, I'm doing a virtual book launch here, well a promo anyway. Some of my older books, A Thank You Dish and River Time and Rock Hopping, and now I have Landing with Wings, which is due to come out in a few days. Anyway, I'm selling it in the backyard. It's got, and online, yes, online. So it's got local Russian, local language, and judge your own language. It's published by Allen and Unwin. It's my 5th book with them. And dedicated to the local Koori mob around here. There's our elder Uncle Rick. This is a bit of a sneak peek. So it's a graphic novel. It's for all ages. Yeah, it's about living in community. So it's very apt at the moment, and also living really lightly on the land, and also respecting the traditional people of this country. So there's me outside my studio. I really hope you can consider supporting me, because like everyone else, I've lost many gigs and a big couple of launches. Anyway, stay safe out there, and I hope that if you do buy this book, that it inspires you on how you live in this beautiful planet of ours. Take care.
Okay, so we're going to start one of our first videos, which is a bit of an instructional video from Trace today. So this one is a letter writing activity that we're going to watch and enjoy.
Hello, my name's Yum Yum, and my friend Trace, who's a little bit camera shy, or maybe a little bit camera, but not quite working it out, has asked me to give her a hand, so here I am. Hi Trace. Hi, here I am. Because you're so camera shy, how can we know what you look like? Well, this is me when I was little. I really love trees. Oh, me too. I love trees. Oh, look at you. And this is me now, a bit older, and I still love trees. You look quite a bit older. Yes, quite old, really. Yeah, I'm pretty old. Anyway, the older you get, the more you find out about stuff sometimes. So what's going on today, Trace? Well, I've got a new book here, and I thought we could get some inspiration from it. Oh, I like inspiration. Oh, who's that? Who's that? This is Miri. She's the main character in the book. She's lovely. What's the name of the book? Oh, well, can you read it? Oh, sure. It's Landing with Wings. Oh, I like that sort of thing, because I've got wings and I like landing. So what's going to happen, Trace? Well, I thought I'd just show you a little bit in the book. Find the page I had marked, a couple of pages. So Miri, just moved to a new house. So I thought I'd read it kind of next morning. He's having some hot chocolate tip, tip, down the bottom of her garden. Hey frog, I'm Mary, your new neighbour. Well, you know I'm here because every time I come close, you go all silent. You don't need to be scared. I won't hurt you. Maybe we could even be friends. So later on in the story, they do get to see each other a bit. Mary's trying to work out what sort of frog she is. So her and her friend, this is their friend, his name's Wings, and they go to the library, and that's the library where some of you watching this will know. That's Jess, the librarian. And they start listening out on the computer and in the books to find out what sort of frog it is. And there's all these different sounds. Bonk, bonk, yeah, yeah, rip, rip, bubble bonk, bubble bonk, bubble bonk. Kriak, kriak, kriak. Hey, that sounds like our little friend. Awesome, we found it. And then there they are looking up all the things about that type of frog. So you guys might like to do a bit of that as one of your activities, is to find out about a different species. Maybe it's something that you hear in the garden or out the window. And you could like make a special information page about it. And the other idea I had, I'll show you a bit after that about how to do all this. So Mary, she loves making a nature journal, and here she's filled her book up a bit more. In May, I find Froggo calling, maybe for his mate. Kriya, eek, eek. In July, I find him sitting quietly on a pile of tiny eggs. In August, the eggs have washed down with the rain into the pools. Mini tadpoles are in the eggs getting ready to come out. You see how they've got little tails? And this is the thing I thought you guys might be interested in doing something a bit like. So she's actually writing a letter to that frog. Dear frog friend, congratulations. Or maybe I ought to say that when the tadpoles become more froggish. You must be so proud of all your little ones. I wonder if I could be their Auntie Miri. Love to you all, Miri the Poss Ross. Oh, well, I reckon she'd be a lovely auntie. And, you know, the more that we like think about our other friends, we care about them, the better everything is. So what's the plan, Trace? Well, so what I thought we could do. Sorry about squishing your beak. Squish bit. You know, luckily you didn't shut the book too fast. It was very gentle. Yes. So sorry. So if you get yourself a bit of paper and something to write with, I've got my very favourite rainbow pencil, and I'm going to do it with that. And so I might write a letter to the birds. What do you think, little birdie friend? Yes, 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 yes. For my friends. Okay, so well, you might start with some words like a dear birdie or something. Dear birdie. And I like mixing up my pictures and my words, so I would probably like then draw a picture of some sort of bird, and maybe I would have something to like I could look up some books or on the internet and find some types of birds that I might like to draw, or I might have it from my imagination. And maybe the bird's going to be, where would you find a bird? Probably on a branch. Might be some other creatures on the branch as well. Not a great pencil. And then I would think about what I'm going to say to that bird. I might tell them how I'm quite happy just now. Now, why would the bird be a bit happy just now? Well, I've got an idea. Yeah, what's your idea? Well, I was thinking, like, you know, there's always these big metal planes everywhere, and now there's not really quite so much of that going on. Yeah. Maybe then the birds have got more chance to, like, you know, fly everywhere without getting hit by a plane, or maybe the air's fresher, or they can hear each other singing more. Yep, that could be part of it. Yeah, so there's lots of ideas what we can write our letter about, isn't there? Yep. So why don't you guys have a try? And meanwhile, I'll start on my letter, and then we can see each other's letters. We could even find somewhere that we could post them up to if you like. All right, so keep on washing your hands. Mine are a bit grubby because I've been in the garden and planting some seeds. So we always like planting seeds. Never know what comes out of them. Here's a little seed for you. Seed of love. All right. Take care out there, everyone. Bye. Bye.
So I can hear that, I can see in the chat that some people are having issues with audio. It is on high for me, and I can see some people aren't having issues with audio. Some people are having issues with the video as well. Unfortunately, that might be your own individual internet connection. So I can see some people are having issues, some people aren't. So for those who are having issues, I'm really sorry about that. But for those who are able to hear okay, I will continue on with our last video before we hand over to Trace for some Q&A. And so this one is designed a bit more for our older kids and for the adults amongst us as well.
Oh, hello. Oh, I didn't know there's so many of you out there. My name's Artissima. And I'm here in the studio with my friend Trace. Hi. Trace doesn't really know how to get herself on the camera. She's got me to go before her. Yeah, it's true. So Trace is going to show us a new book, and we'll do a bit of stuff to have a look at that, and then she'll do some pictures, and then she'll give you some ideas for you to do some pictures. How's that sound? Sounds alright to me. Should we give it a go? Yeah, let's do it. Alright, well, here's my new book. Can you see what that's called? Oh, who's she? That's Miri. Hi. And the book is called Landing. Oops, it's got a bit grubby already. Nice. So I thought I'd show you a little bit inside there. The first thing I thought I'd show you is there's Miri, who's the main character in the story, and she likes to write letters and things, and she's inside here, like some of you are probably inside right now, probably most of you, and hopefully you can see some nice stars out your window at night, but if you can't, it's always good to know that they're there behind all the city lights or any clouds or anything. There's always the stars out there. Like thousands of them. The other thing that Miri likes as well as stars is trees. So one of her favourite trees is this tea tree here that's by the sea. And I'll just read it. So in that tea tree there's a yellow rump hornbill, little bird, a place for birds to sing, and leaves that whisper in the wind. You know how they make that noise? Noise. Excellent hiding spots, and it's strong enough to sit in and cuddle. Now that's an important one at the moment because some of us aren't cuddling some of the people we want to be cuddling, so we can either go to the trees and cuddle them, or we can draw some pictures of people cuddling trees. Even myself cuddling a tree, that might give us the same sort of feeling. There's cool shade, and there's a cozy shelter when the storm's coming. So that's one of the trees that she likes. And then in her new home, she's got a very big tree. That's the yellow box tree. And both of these trees are actually from trees that I really love. And she's talking to this tree when she first sees it. She says, "Oh, good morning, tree. Aren't you a beauty? I hope you don't mind if I climb you. I've lost my bearings because we've got here in the dark." So there she is. She's going to it, and she starts climbing up. There's a yellow-footed antechinus climbing up and having a little sniff. The little birds. And then there she's got up even higher. She's saying, "Ah, for some wings," because she's seeing this big wedge-tailed eagle flying around. And then she's saying, "Aha, a mountain. It looks like you're the best place with the view around here." So she went up here for a view. There's even a better view up there on that mountain is what she's thinking. And another one that you might like to see is this tree here, which has got a lot of nests in it. So in the story here, she's looking at lots of creatures that live in trees, or nest in trees. So there is a barking owl going whoop, 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 whoop in the tree, and there's the oriole, 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 oriole. And there's the oriole's nest, the eastern yellow robin, and there's the eastern yellow robin's nest in there. And there's a fan-tailed cuckoo, stealing a striated thornbill's nest. So those birds are stealing. There's a couple of other nests she's made in her journal. You guys might like to make journals too. So there's Fuscus honeyeater making a nest out of grass, bark, wool, and spider webs. Now it's pretty good to just find what you can. You don't have to go down the shops. Just find what you can to make your cozy nest. There's the spotted pardalote, and they dig their nests in the secret tunnels on the, and this one's on the side of a creek bank. Sometimes I see them when I go for a walk, making little sneaky nests in little holes. And then the ones that aren't very sneaky and are actually quite noisy are the white-winged choughs. And a lot of them work together as a group, and often it's good to work as a group, help each other out. And they collect mud for the nest high up in the tree. And those nests are huge. So they go down and they make these big nests in the trees. I don't know if you've ever seen one. What are the ones that I marked out? So this is in her garden again, but this is later in the story, and it's raining, as you can see. And rain doesn't stop people going outside. They've got raincoats. They're lucky enough to have a big tree like that in the garden. Well, I'd be going out every day too. There's someone in there having an apple in the tree and climbing up. And I've just got one more in here I'm going to show, which is a nighttime tree. So sometimes if you look out at nighttime, you'll see silhouettes, and if you're really quiet for a long time, you might even see like possums running up there, or owls hooting, or koalas, all sorts of things. So I thought we could do something to do with trees together today. And I thought, how about I have a go, and then you guys can have a go, and maybe you can post them online somewhere. So my thoughts were to draw yourself as a tree. And when I first do my drawing, I'm going to start with a pencil. And I think what I like about trees is that these huge roots underground. So I'm going to make half of my drawing underground and half above. And so it's going to reach right out under and above. And so I'm just going to sketch in where it's going. And then I can start drawing it a bit more. And so in that tree, you might think there's a big hollow, so you can have something living in the hollow, and you might have some things on the branches. And I'll start to draw with the pen so it's easier for you to see. And there might be a little burrow here. What about that? There could be a little burrow in the ground. And what might live in a burrow?
There might be somebody sleeping in there. And that, they might be sleeping because they come out at a different time of day or in the dark. And this might be in a daytime picture. Or you might draw a nighttime picture and they might be out. There could be a few of them all cuddled up together. And that could be pretty dark in there. And then there might be another hole down here somewhere. So here's the roots coming down. And it's amazing because we always think of the tree at the top, but the roots are pretty amazing when you think about trees. Like sometimes you notice them really far away. And they need big roots so they don't tip over. We're a bit like that. We've got to have our feet so we don't tip over. So I like to draw the main ones and then I can put ones off it, you see? And then maybe little ones off there. And then you might think, what's going to go on that tree? Well, you might have some fruits. And I'm just going to draw it quickly so you guys will have more time to draw it, but I'll just do a little film today. I won't even finish it. And then you're going to have some birds probably in your tree. You might want to think about what bird you have in your tree. So I think I'd like to have an owl. To have someone wise around at the moment. Maybe it's making a little hooting sound. And there might be like a spider hanging down here. And maybe there's going to be a hollow here. I don't know what could be in there. Maybe one of those funny self-requested cockatoos. And they might be waiting for the other one of them, that like this might be the mummy waiting for the daddy cockatoo that is going to come and bring some food. And she might be sitting on some eggs in there. Or some babies might be in there with her. And there might be even somebody swinging on their swing. That could be fun if you've got a garden. If you're lucky enough to have a garden at the moment, well, it'd be a great thing to be doing, wouldn't it, to be having a swing right now. And if you're not having a garden right now or can't go outside at the moment or to the park, well, it's nice to be able to imagine that feeling of when you are there. So it's nice to think of that. And there could be flowers on your tree. So I like those little ones with the little gum nuts. I love those little gum nuts. So I like to put them on my trees. And sometimes they smell really good. And what goes near things like that is maybe some insects. You might have some insects around. And there's so much you can do with it. Then you might have some sound, some smell. So it might smell sweet. And there might be a sound of rustle, rustle of the leaves. And that might be because maybe there's somebody hiding in there who's just poking their head out. And their tails there. So I reckon I'm going to stop doing my drawing and let you have a go. And I'd love to see what people come up with. Maybe I'll put something on Facebook where you can post them up. Anyway, take care everyone. And I'm going to keep enjoying my drawing, and I'd love to see your drawings as well. It's just it's quite nice weather today for drawing inside because it's a bit rainy out there. And then once, I'll just quickly put a little start of the colour. So of course once you've done your lines, you might want to add some colour. And what I like doing is mixing my colours, so I don't like just using one sort of brown. I might have a whole load of different colours to add for the tree trunk. I'll just do a little bit to show you.
Might have a bit of readiness in it. Might be darker on one side, and it'll probably be pretty dark in that hollow. So, how about you guys go and have a go too? What do you think, Artemis? Well, I like it. I'm going to go and draw now too. It's just making me want to go and draw. Watching that. Good-o. Well, that's the idea. So everyone have fun, and that's the main thing. Bye. Take care out there.
Sorry, apologies. I just realised that I didn't actually put my microphone down when I started speaking there. I hope you enjoyed those videos, and I hope that for those of you who were able to be able to watch and listen to them, do apologise for those of you who might have been having trouble with the quality of them. Unfortunately, sometimes depending on your own internet, there might be some issues there. So we are really sorry for that. But it is time now to ask Trace some questions. So if you do have some questions, Trace is here. We would love for you to either, if you just want to write something, even if you just want to write question in the chat box, and then I'll know to turn over to you, or raise your hand if you do have that option. But I'm going to start off with a question to get us all started. Trace, I'm a bit of a perfectionist when I draw, and so I stop myself from drawing because I always feel like I'm not good enough. How can I get out of my own head and just enjoy drawing without wanting it to always look 100% right?
It's a great question. I just thought I'd check if everyone can hear me. And I'm the main screen, even though for me I'm very little.
Yes, can hear you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So if you did want to, you can also pin Trace. So if you're on a laptop, it's on the right hand. If you right click, you'll get an option to pin. So then she'll come up bigger on your screen as well. But Trace, go ahead.
Yes. So for me, it's really not about the finished work. It's about having a go, because when you have a go, you connect with whatever it is that you're drawing. And so the more that you do it as well, the better that you get at looking and then drawing what you're seeing. But it's much more about the experience. And also when you're drawing something, you start to learn things about it that if you weren't drawing it, you wouldn't notice. So it's about helping you to see more and notice more and appreciate more. Yeah. And you are your best teacher. So by doing the drawing, you get to do it more, learn more.
Thanks, Trace. I've definitely, even over the last couple of weeks when I've been watching the videos, I've been very inspired to get out and practice a bit more. So I will take that advice and just keep going and keep drawing. Now, does anybody else have any questions out there? Oh, and I'm glad to hear, Bob, you've returned and you've got video and audio, which is fantastic. Does anyone else have any questions that they'd like to ask? I've got a few more up my sleeve, but we'd love for the audience there to be involved if anybody has any questions. Okay.
My my tools that I normally take when I go out and about. I'm not sure, did I show them in the film?
No, it wasn't in that film. So yeah, that'd be great if you could show us the tools that you use.
Yeah. So I like to use a paper that's a bit thicker than just normal like photocopy paper, and I like a pencil that where's the camera? That you can pull the lead out, and then I like to, well, I'll just do a little example of my tools. So if I'm just drawing I'll just draw a circle because I can't really see the screen, and then I will use a waterproof ink. Oh, I've got a fountain pen here, so I don't have to keep buying biros. And if I use my waterproof ink over the pencil, and then I would rub out the pencil. And then the next thing that I use is either my watercolor paint, like that. and they're very little. They fit in my pocket. I've got lots of pockets on all my clothes. Or otherwise I use the watercolor pencils. And I like to use really good quality ones, even for beginners. Good quality is really worth it. And so the other favorite tool of mine is this one. That's an Aqua Brush. So it's like a little bottle. And one end you can put the water in, and the other end there's a little brush. So if I was using a couple of colors on my drawing, I'll just draw something really quick just so you can see. If I use the Aqua Brush, you see how I don't need to take a jar with me. And so that's like my favorite tool to take out and about. Especially make sure you have a watercolor, a waterproof ink. Yeah.
Some really great tips there, Trace. Now we've got a few questions. Aria, would you like to unmute yourself so you can ask your question? So Aria, you're a little bit quiet. You're able to speak a bit closer to your microphone?
What's your favourite thing to draw?
Oh, hi, Aria. Oh, I love so many things. I really like birds. And out of birds, I like birds that can swim and fly. So maybe something like a grebe or a swan or a duck, something like that. Because then, in fact, a duck's good because they can deep dive and they can fly and they can float on the water. So they can do all sorts of things. Yeah.
Great question, Aria. Thanks for asking it. Casey, do you have a question?
Yeah, I was just wondering if you have any tips for building in student engagement in an activity like this. I'd really like to use it with my students to sort of engage in the environment a little bit more and use it as a tool to make those observations and connection. And engaging teenage boys in this can be difficult. So any tips or suggestions?
Yes, so you're talking about teenage boys, and how old are the students?
Probably about 13 or 14.
Oh, okay. Well, I think doing cartooning is a great one, and like maybe stretching the truth, like finding some like really weird facts about things and then exaggerating them. And you know, a lot of boys that I've come across like sort of action and sort of schlock. And so if that's a word, if you get them engaged in mixing up words and pictures to kind of get some sort of action where maybe some poor insect gets eaten by the plant that eats insects, then you might get them on board, something like that. I'm looking at things like symbiotic relationships to find your way to engage their curiosity and their sort of crazy teenage feelings to excite them. Yeah, I'm not sure if that helped. And also like going outdoors, and I think really what I really like doing is drawing something from different places as I walk along. So if you're going for a hike with the teenagers, you might have a landmark that you can see in the environment, and then as you go further, the landmark changes and you get to it, and then you've gone beyond it. And so that thing of like having some goals of where you're reaching and really looking at it by drawing it. That's just off the top of my head. There's also lots of teacher notes on the publisher's website, but that may be more for younger kids. You might be able to change it.
Awesome,
Thanks.
thank you.
Thanks, Trace, for that great answer. Teenage boys, I think, are always a hard group to engage with, coming from a former teacher myself. Cora, you had a question as well. Cora, are you still with us? If you can unmute.
Hi, yeah, I love that range. I love your book. What a lovely book. It's beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
I love the rainbow pencil that you use. What brand is it? Where can you get one from? I love the way the drawing came out with all those colours.
Let's run and get it. I'm running.
Well, just
out of my studio because the reception wasn't as good. So this is called a Magic Kohai.
Oh, sorry, a what? You might have to type it in.
I can type that in.
Great.
Yeah, it's a beauty. And they have different coloured ones. Some of them I prefer.
Do you just get them from an art shop or something?
Yeah, I get it from an art shop.
In Melbourne?
I'm in Central Victoria, so I guess if you can get it here, you'd be able to get it in the city.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I just love the way the drawing turned out and the writing with that rainbow pencil.
And you know what I love? Like, when I go to see musicians, I like to draw them, and sometimes it's dark or really poor lighting, and I just take my one pencil and just enjoy sketching and be able to give them a little gift at the end. So,
Great.
Yeah, it's a fun pencil. It always looks good.
Yeah, it looks fantastic, and I love the little journal pages on the pages of the book, of the picture book. Really cute.
Yeah, thanks.
Jodie's just made a comment there that they were big in the 80s, and I definitely remember in primary school having those rainbow pencils, but I haven't seen one for years either until I watched Trace's video this week.
Oh, yeah, they're good quality.
So have you typed it in? I can't see it. No.
Oh, I just need to press the paper dart. Yeah, now I have.
Okay, and we have another question there from Margaret. Margaret, would you like to unmute yourself and ask your question? Yes.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Margaret. We can hear you, Margaret.
Hi, thanks. That was a great presentation. I just love the books. I hadn't heard of them before, but I certainly want to go out and buy them. They're all just absolutely gorgeous. So thank you so much for sharing them. I just hadn't heard of the whole idea of nature journaling before. I'm not from the Altona area, but I'm down the road on the Bellarine Peninsula, and our land care group is very active down here. So I can see concepts like this working really well for all kinds of group projects. So are there any good books or websites you could recommend for somebody who doesn't really understand? I understand what journaling is, and I think I could, well, define nature, very difficult to define that, but I just don't know anything about the subject. And also I'm a nurse working in aged care, so I could see this possibly being something that we could do with frail elderly people or people who have impairments, don't speak English or have dementia.
Oh yes, such good comments. I'll have to try and remember them all. So I've definitely worked with older people who may not be so able to go out in the bush to do the drawing, and we bring cuttings in, and it's a really beautiful thing. And because it's something that you can develop over years and years, it's something that you can keep doing through your life. And so, and especially this time where you might not be connecting with so many people, it's a great skill to be honing in on. And so some of the websites, there's a woman on Facebook, I don't know if you do Facebook, Paula Peters is her name. I really like her work. I've just put her in there. I typed her name in. But also there's Mel, can I give it to you afterwards if I don't remember? On next week I can look them up, because there are some really good sites. Even if you just Google nature journaling and sketchbook artists, there's some fantastic resources out there, and there might be some other people here that want to type in ones that they know.
I was going to say, Casey has just commented the Paula Peters Make a Date with Nature. We have that in the library collection, so it is available to borrow in our collection. The John Muir Laws, he's actually just recently brought out a new one as well. But I would definitely, Tracy, if you've got a list of stuff, I've got some in the collection at the Enviro Centre, so I'd love to put a list up on the Facebook event next week, and any ones that we don't have in the collection that Trace recommends, I can definitely look at getting a copy of as well.
Yeah, and I think I might have, if I sent you the other film, Mel, I'm happy for them to watch it, you to give the link to the film for the adults. Just it's a 20-minute, it's more on an adult, for adults. Yeah, and Jane here's put the biomimicry one as well. There'll be so many between you all. I'll find some from you. Yeah.
Any other questions that we held? Claire Mosley's another one that's been suggested by Nicole.
Fantastic. She's a friend of mine, and we met through drawing. She's a lovely way to meet, and yes, she does beautiful work. And one of the things I know that Claire does is she sometimes uses books for her what she's sketching from. Like, you can't always find the animals that you're going to want to draw, then there's no problem in looking them up as well. Like, it's easy with plants, but with animals, look in books, look online, wherever you can. The more you do, the more you'll find your style and your way.
And thank you, Tracy. She's just popped a link into the Make a Date with Nature Paul Peters in our catalogue, so it's in the chat there. It's funny that you just said that, because one of the questions I was going to ask was, do you feel it's okay to include things in your journals that you don't actually see? And obviously you've just answered that. I'm always very like, I know I can only draw what's there in front of me, but I love that you know, okay to use your imagination and draw other things and include them in as well.
Well, what I would say too is, like, you know, what's your reason that you're doing it? Like, if you're wanting to learn about birds and you can't see the birds properly because they're flying past, then if you start drawing them out of books or photographs anywhere, then that's totally valid as well. But if you're trying to practice drawing from life, then maybe you need to go to like a wildlife park or the zoo, or just draw plants that you can see. So it's totally depends on your intention, really, and it's all going to be good for your drawing. I also like to put in, you know, my diaries, my journals, like what's going on. So I'll just show one here. I like to get a bit poetic with them. So I've just written nice little things about them, and they're tiny. Look, they're really little pictures. And I could actually show you a couple more. This one was in Indonesia. It's not really a nature journal, but it's my journal. And the thing I love about this is there's all these things that I wouldn't have noticed, like the petrol pump and stuff, unless I drew it. And I'm learning the language as well. And then I'll just show you one. I'm going to show you two more. This one is up in Arnhem Land. I went on a weaving camp. And these Aboriginal women, they're Yolngu women, they were very shy about photographs. They didn't want photographs. But they loved having me there doing the drawing. And so they started to invite me out to get bush tucker with them and all sorts of things. And it wouldn't have happened if I hadn't done the drawing. So the drawing is like a gateway. And also you can notice so much more. This bowerbird's nest, if I hadn't drawn it, I would have taken a photo and sort of not noticed at all. But there's things in there like a piece of macaroni because it was in a campground, and a cable tie. And, you know, I have a friend who's actually on here who knows that it's a great way to meet people, because we were in India together years ago and I was drawing a lot, and I'd look up and there'd be like, oh, there's a lot of people there. So it gives you a better life.
So Margaret's just made a comment about for elderly people, it may be memories that they have of the past, which absolutely, what a great way to get them to reconnect with some of the things that they might remember, or even what they see out their windows if they can't get out into nature themselves.
I used to run a group in a facilitated accommodation, and it was absolutely surprising for the families. When they came, we had an art exhibition, and the families were so surprised that, you know, some of them were like reminiscing of their childhood back in Italy, or one of them, she was so into birds and flowers. It was like, you know, enriching their life so much.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, it doesn't look like there's any more questions in our chat box, and we are coming, well, we're a couple of minutes over our time that we were meant to finish up today. So I think now is probably a good time to thank Trace. What I would like to do, if you have been jotting some pictures down while you've been on today, I would love for you to hold up onto the screen what you've been doing, because I've seen a few people have been drawing. Oh, if we could get hold them, they are fantastic.
Is there somewhere I can see it as well, Mel? Because I can only see you and me.
If you unpin me, so if you right click me, you should be able to unpin me, or if you go, you should be able to change to a gallery view.
Show participants. Never mind. You can maybe show me later.
I can, yeah. So if everyone's, sorry, I was too busy talking then. If you can hold them up, I'm just going to take a screenshot because I would love to have some of those images.
Yeah, I'd love to see.
They are absolutely amazing. And what we would also ask to do, if you found today's event from our Facebook event, we would love for you to take a picture of the pictures you've taken today. Oh, sorry, the drawings you've made today, and post that onto our Facebook event so we can all see what everyone's been doing. You know, events like this are so fantastic. We'd love to share what everyone has been artistically designing and drawing out there. So that's absolutely amazing. But Trace, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you to all of you who've come and joined us. Already mentioned to you that, yep, pop your pictures into the Facebook page. Last thing I did want to do today is just let you know that our next event for the Enviro Centre is coming up on Wednesday, the 24th of June. It's an evening event, back to our evenings from 6:15 till 7:45, and it's with Anne Sanson. Now, she's an honorary professorial fellow at the University of Melbourne, and she's going to be coming to talk to us about how we talk to children about the climate crisis and other big issues that are going on in the world at the moment. So that booking is up and available on our website. So please feel free to head to our website. But otherwise, thank you so much for coming. I'm going to pop a slide up just now at the end. If you did want to send any feedback through to us, we would love to hear what you have to say about today's event. I do realise there's been a few little things that haven't gone right, so I do apologise for that. But that one is there now. So thank you very much, Trace, and thank you, Jen, for coming in with us today as well. If anybody doesn't have any last things to say, we might say goodbye. And yeah, thank you again for all of your time this afternoon.
Bye.
Thanks, Trace.
Bye. See you later.
Thank you.
Thank you for all the lovely feedback coming through in the chat as well.
Thank you.
I will hang around for a few minutes more, so if anybody does want to ask any questions, feel free to hang around. there's a few of us still on. If you're welcome to just press the red to leave the meeting today. Unless you have questions, which you're welcome to ask as well.